seconds, quite literally. When we come back, we will bring you another 2 hours of live coverage from Le Mans. And that was Baron Schneider. That was a moment he had just a few minutes a little while ago. Enjoy the coverage from Montreal. We'll see you back here at Le Mans in 1 hour's time. Formula One qualifying coming up next. It's quite good, isn't it? Boy, a bit of an understatement.
The understatement of the year, yeah.
Let's take a look at the top 5. As you can see, with the recent developments, the BMW now looking quite strong. Its lead, this is the first time we've seen it over 30 seconds, and it's now almost a minute 10. And it is not anymore over the number 2 Toyota. It's over this car, the number 5 Mercedes from AMG Mercedes Motorsports of the previous Le Mans winner, Christophe Bouchou, and the 2 rookies, Nick Heidfeld and Peter Dumbreck, who have done a brilliant job. The number 2 Toyota with that stop has slipped to 3rd. The number 6 Mercedes is 4th. And with the
which was a language I'd never heard before.
Putting it in perspective, how do you rate the last couple of years, and particularly this year, with all these manufacturers? It is kind of a renaissance, do you think, for the race?
It is, but, you know, the man, they've smoothed out this Mercedes here. It's not bumping so much. I feel better for them now. I watch what's going on, but yet I see everybody says that you really had to be able to do. They got the government to pay for its racetrack.
Greg, tell us about that pit stop just a sec.
There was a problem of some sort for the Kramer Racing entry of Saldana, Orbel, and de Radiguez. It suddenly slowed and made a very long limp down into the pits. That's the Ford Roush-powered Lola, and it had been having some problems earlier on with the engine. Apparently, still suffering.
Chris, are you planning to stay up all night here?
I don't think so. I stayed up all night in 1957, and I was a lot younger then than I am now, and it was almost too much for me then. I would like to. I'm particularly interested in how the Mercedes do, particularly after they lost a third of their entry due to the crash of Mark Webber this morning and had to recant their strategy and make a lot of sudden late-minute changes to attack this race.
Well, we thank you ever so much for coming up here and talking with us. I know it's a long way up to the booth here, and
well, the pleasure's mine, Sam. It's nice to see you and David Hobbs over there. Does he wait?
Well, no, we try to rouse him from time to time.
I see. Well, listen, you guys have a great show. I know you've got a long road to hoe ahead of you. Chin up, boys.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
Thanks a lot, Chris, for coming on board. An interesting sidebar, of course, to Chris's comments is the fact that the Americans don't get the government to pay for their racetracks. They get them to pay for their baseball grounds and their football grounds instead.
Very interesting indeed, and that's a good point. But then again, it's Mercedes coming through the screen, and that is the battle, Sam, we were talking about, the battle for 3rd, and that margin was 4 seconds not long ago. It's down to about 2.5.
They are in the attack mode, closing in on the lead Toyota, which you see. The BMW is actually out front, but Mercedes is closing in on the Toyota that they have sandwiched between them, and it is very much a race, a very fluid race right now. I mean, there's no way to establish, Greg, a pattern, would you say, for what's really going on yet? I mean, we see BMW with a fuel advantage. We see Toyota. This
is indeed a big story. Here comes that number 5 Mercedes that had closed now, as we said, within 2 seconds of the 3rd place Toyota, and that now has changed as the Toyota is now 2nd. And the Mercedes is 3rd with the number 5 Mercedes in 4th. So things, as Sam pointed out, very fluid as the pit stops change. And there is the number 5 entry, and it looks as though a driver change is being completed in that car as well. And Mueller brought up a good point, didn't he? He was talking about saving the car a little bit. And when McNish would catch him, he would pick the pace up a little bit, but when McNish went for the pass, he gave him tons of room, and you never saw that BMW sideways or sliding or really using the car up at all.
They're having an extremely intelligent drive with that, and I think nobody expected BMW to be able to race with Toyota or Mercedes. They appeared to be the 3rd or even 4th fastest guys here, and I think it's been an extremely pleasant surprise for us as spectators, and a terrible shock, I suspect, for Mercedes and
Toyota too. And of course, saving the car is a relative term here. There's the 54 Viper in the gravel. That's the GTR driven by Paul Belmondo Racing. Paul Belmondo himself driving, Montero and Mark Roston. We're not sure who's at the wheel right at the moment.
Well, it's BMW, Toyota, the 2 Mercedes, and the lead Toyota in 5th. We'll be back. Welcome back to Le Mans, where 72 laps have been completed. Of course, they're going to complete well over that, well into the hundreds by the time it's all said and done. And the race started about 4.5 hours ago. And with some of the developments,
few months here, they won Sebring kind of unexpectedly, really. They didn't seem to be competitive here. Suddenly they're leading this race, but they vow that they're getting out of the sports car business and devote all their time to Formula One. Do you think, we'll get to that in a second. Andrew is down here with this pit stop.
And just watching as Frank Lagorce, the happy little Frenchman, climbs aboard. Bernd Schneider came out of that. Frank Lagorce carries an extra substitute seat. He's about 6 or 7 inches shorter than Bernd Schneider, but that all seems to work seamlessly. Bit of a scrum down here, to be honest. They're cleaning the windscreen. They are changing a set of Bridgestone tyres, and remember there are 5 different tyre manufacturers battling for honours here. Just one car on Goodyear, incidentally, and this all looks pretty smooth. And this number 6 Mercedes Silver Arrows will continue on its way in just a few moments. These pit stops, when they do change the tyres and fuel, last, well, just about a minute. Front tyres are on. Up goes the hands of the tyre changers. The V8 fires up and it stalls, and Frank Lagorce is going to hit the button again, and there it goes, and Frank Lagorce returns to the racetrack.
Big engine in that car, of course. 6 litre V8, 5.9 litre V8, so a lot of engine to turn over there every time you stop in the pits. A big engine. Ooh. There's his team car, flashes by as they come out of the pits. And now you've got the 2 Mercedes, the 6 and the 5 car together as they go through turn 1. That's where we saw the Viper a moment ago. There it still is there. The yellow flag's being shown at turn 1.
How about BMW? Do you think if they win or finish 2nd or 3rd here, they might be influenced to keep their sports car program alive?
Big temptation, but of course that car of theirs is built by Williams, and a lot of people feel that the performance of Williams in Formula One has gone down badly in the last 2 years. It's probably been compromised by building this sports car, and of course they run a saloon car in the British Saloon Car Championship. And I think that with the money that BMW are going to shovel into that Formula One project, they're probably going to want to see them concentrate on Formula One. But if they do win, it will be a big temptation.
I think interestingly too, should they win, on the other hand, they may say, we've spent the money, we're done. We can now concentrate on F1. We've achieved a win at Le Mans. You know, we just saw Bernd Schneider crawl out of that Mercedes. Last year, he was done in this one after 2 hours. They've gone 4.5, and he's with Andrew.
Yeah, Bernd Schneider, just looking at the tyres there. You're happy with the tyre rate?
I'm really happy now. We tried now a different compound, and we are very satisfied now.
A terrible morning for you, but this afternoon's been much better.
Not only this morning. We had a big shot on Wednesday night and this morning again. And we had to do some changes. And in the beginning we had a little bit problem with that, but now the car is running quite well.
You did quite a big aerodynamic change after the shunt this morning.
Yeah, we put more downforce on, and now we are a little bit slow in the straight, but the car is very good in the corners.
You had a good battle with Jörg Müller. Did you enjoy that battle with Jörg Müller?
Yeah, it was a good fight, especially the beginning with the Toyotas was really good, and then in the end now with the BMW, I really like the race now.
Yeah, it's a long way to go though, Jörg. Jörg Bernd, I'll get this right.
Yeah, still. That means, you know, in the beginning you're pushing hard because you were close, and this was good fun. But now everybody going his own speed. And was it Jörg Müller? And we had some fun. He's a little bit too quick on the straight, and the corner I catched him again, and it was good fun.
Well, there is a racing driver really enjoying his trade, Bernd Schneider.
I mean, they are obviously the world record holder for changing transmission innards, but it doesn't do much good. It still takes them right out of contention, particularly in this race, which is being run to such a hot pace by so many people. I mean, the Panos, for example, is doing beautifully, but it's back in 8th. It's run a fastest lap of 3 minutes 40 seconds, and I mean that compares beautifully with the fastest lap overall of 3:37. So I mean they're running fast, but they're way back. It's that intense.
It is very intense, and you can see that now on the monitor on the screen as the number 2 Toyota is being hounded by one of the Mercedes. And I mean, this is the kind of action we've seen. And you can see it is definitely closing in on nightfall here. That soft light of dusk and those headlights are absolutely blaring as those two cars head into the chicane, and that is the number 2 Toyota sitting in second and the number 5 Mercedes in third. And we have seen this type of action the whole time. Meanwhile, serenely out front, the BMW, and we hate to jinx it, but the BMW is just continuing to lap. But oh, here goes the Mercedes trying to find a way by.
There. Somebody slow go. Ooh, I wouldn't have done that.
That's brave.
That was very brave for him to pull down the inside there where the white flag being waved, because you never know what's just over that brow. 20 the Nissan in the pit.
Yeah, that's the Courage 52 with the Nissan engine, Kotaz, Goosens, and Ekblom. We also had a brief shot of a wounded Porsche, the number 66 car, trying to find its way back into the pits with a left rear tire that was messed up. Meanwhile, here is that battle once again, and that Porsche obviously blended the attack by the Mercedes, but it has gone again.
Oh, there it is. It's into the trees.
Right.
Unbelievable. That is what we have seen twice already this weekend, and that one went off track.
That is just devastating. They, of course, will have to withdraw instantly the other car. There's no question of doing it now. We have just seen one of the most dramatic moments that you will ever see. It's the second time in history that a Mercedes has actually left the track here. The other time back in 1955 with disastrous results. The other two times here in the last few days, the car actually stayed within the bounds of the track, but this one is off in the woods.
Here's the replay, and again...
Mercedes right behind the Toyota, just in that dead air area. And
look at that. That's exactly the terror of it. Fortunate it did not hit the bridge, but you can see how high up it got.
Whoa.
It looks like it may have landed on its wheels. This could have a happy ending yet, but of course it's much too early to say. Get the other car off the track. 3
full flips in that car, and that is just terrible. I'm not sure exactly who was behind the wheel. I don't want to make. Welcome back to Le Mans, and that is the shot overhead. That is where the Mercedes ended up, and as you can see, it indeed cleared the big trees and ended into landed in a hollow, and it did appear to end up right side up. It rotated quite a bit, of course, but it is parked right there, and as you said, it is not in any big area. But you can see just to about the middle of the screen to the right, there is a big area. That's where it hit, bounced, and then stopped. So it definitely got away off the track, but it was carrying a heck of a lot of speed, and it got awfully high at the same time.
You know what it looks like? An aircraft accident.
But then landing in those trees like that and sliding backwards through the trees, it would be losing energy all the time. So hopefully Mr. Dumbrecht's in pretty good shape. There's a very good chance, I think, that he's going to be A-OK, because it certainly lost a lot of speed in
and they were able to get
quite
to
a
it
few
easily,
feet.
too. Look, David, the door basically was either torn off or just openable there. That looks pretty good. The car's just sitting there. I mean, it looks a lot worse than it really is.
I think so, and let's check in once again with Andrew.
Yeah, just very quickly here, I'm just being urged out of the Toyota garage. The number 1 car has come back in again, and they've got the bodywork off, and they're looking at the transmission. So obviously,
when it hit, it must have somehow pivoted and landed like that. But the fact that it's right side up, of course, always great news.
Well, you know, there's an accident that started at over 200 miles an hour. I mean, that's a pretty telling. You know, a car getting airborne at that speed goes a long way.
Yeah, indeed it does. Alan DeCadney.
I've seen quite a few of these unfortunate accidents. We had Van Lennep in a 908 Porsche at the Nürburgring one year. He flipped the thing in front of me, and it looked really, really terrible. It landed upside down, and we all jumped out. Unfortunately, that one caught fire. Now, there's no fire here, you see. That's the blessing, that at least there's no fire, so at least there's oxygen, so the guy can breathe inside there. And I'm looking at that crash site. I tell you, I think that accident was survivable. I really do think that the speed of the car was minimized by falling, by going through the air there, the drag of that underbody. It looked like a really horrible, spectacular accident, but I am quite confident that that was survivable, believe it or not, because the car is basically in one piece. It landed on its wheels, and I'm really hoping, and I said before, I'm praying that he's going to be okay. That accident was survivable.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And as we're looking at the footage now, they have Peter Dumbreck, and they're going to take him to the ambulance. But when you look at the car, the driver's cell, as they call it, Sam, looks very, very much intact.
The windshield isn't even broken.
Correct.